Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us this evening as we take part in this program. I frankly would love for you to take part. If you wish to call in, the numbers are 561-531-6092 to call into the show. 561-531-6092. Again, my name is Emmanuel Morel. I am actually a candidate for County Commission, Palm Beach County Commission District 2, which encompasses Lantana Road to the south and just north of Okeechobee Boulevard to the north, and 441 to the west, and Military Trail to the east. However, it goes down to Belvedere Road, and then it goes west to Dixie. The point I wish to make this evening is the reason that I seek to serve in this position and who I am. How did I get here? I've said it many times before, and I'll say it once again. All of us actually are products of our environment. And I'm grateful to have been raised in a great environment. I can tell you that I received a lot of love as a child. We were poor, but there was a lot of love. There was a lot of laughter. We were always happy, unless and until they put a whipping on us, which they did. Which they did. I can't say that I grew up in abject poverty. That would not be a lie. I can tell you that I grew up in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. And yes, we were poor. Poverty is not a prerequisite to running for office, but what it does show is the ability to overcome. And this is the plight of and the story of most immigrants in this country. We had it rough back home, and most of us anyway had it rough back home, and we immigrated to America seeking a better life. And some of us have taken the opportunity to have had a better life in this country. I fight for the things that I do because I know what it's like to be on the short end of things. I know what it's like to be poor. I know what it's like to be hungry. I know what it's like to go to school hungry. Come home, there's nothing to eat. You go to bed, there's nothing to eat. The next day, you repeat the cycle again. So when I fight for people, it is as if I'm fighting for myself. I'm running away from the life that I knew, because there is nothing pretty about there's nothing beautiful about being poor, about being hungry. There's nothing beautiful about being homeless. There's nothing beautiful. It's nothing to brag about. To see people die because of hunger. As a federal labor investigator, every case became personal. There was one young lady here in West Palm Beach who was not paid her final paycheck. She was a waitress, and the paycheck was only $22. She walked into the office and she came to file a complaint. At the time, the division had a policy: we would not take any complaint that was $100 or more. We would not take the complaint. But to me, I had refused to follow that rule. $99, $80, $20 is a lot of money to a lot of people. Yes, I understand why they came up with that rule, but I just couldn't do it, because when somebody walks in, it became personal to me. I took the young lady's complaint, and I did make contact with her employer, and the employer told me that he wasn't going to pay it. I said, really? What he did not expect was for me to get in my car, was for me to drive to his place of business and request payment for that young lady, which I did. It was a restaurant on Flagler, and I showed up. I requested payment for that young lady. The man finally gave me the check after arguing with me for a while. I called the young lady, and when I got to the, she literally wept, because she said she had ran out of formula for her baby. I remember that day very well, that afternoon very well. When I gave her the check, she left. Less than an hour later, there was a card that somebody dropped through the door. And when I picked it up, I realized it was a thank you card from that young lady. For after nearly 30 years of service, it is the only thing that I've ever kept, that I've ever preserved. That thank you card from that young lady. You see, as far as she was concerned, I had collected for her $22,000, $2,200. I had collected for her what she needed. It made me feel good. There are people out there who are hurting, who are being taken advantage of, and they feel that there is no place for them to turn. There are good employers, there are bad employers. Unfortunately, you always hear of the bad ones. But I can tell you that I had a run-in with one of the subsidiaries of, I can tell you that Warren Buffett is the best. I had a wonderful experience with him, with his outfit. The things they were not required to do, they did. Although they did not really owe money, because they had just taken over that outfit, that company, they had not taken over the liabilities for that company. Still, they went back and paid those people, and they didn't have to do it. That was Warren Buffett. But I've also met some lowlife and one of them who threatened to kill me. We have some serious issues in Palm Beach County when it comes to wage theft. And if you go to Politico.com, you will see an article written by Politico about wage theft in the state of Florida. And actually, they mention about 6 states where it's really rampant, and Florida happens to be one of them. I can tell you that South Florida is the armpit when it comes to wage theft. For whatever reason, people feel that they do not have to pay their employees. I'm always surprised that we don't have much more violence, because when you say to somebody you're not going to pay them after they've worked for you, when somebody works 50 hours for the week and you say you're only going to pay for 40, when somebody works more than 40 hours in a work week and you decide you're not going to pay the overtime, you just put that person out of their home. That person's electricity has just been cut off. Their water has just been cut off. You have no idea how much pain you are putting that person under. We cannot continue to look away at what's going on in this county. We just can't. The Palm Beach County Commission has had ample opportunities to correct this, and they have failed. Just because some people have a lot of money, you associate yourselves with folks with big pockets who can write you big checks to run campaigns, does not give you the right, the opportunity. You must fight for the poor. You must fight for the homeless. You must fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. Otherwise, there is no reason to be alive. It does not matter how many millions of dollars you have. It does not matter. But if you do not care for those who have the least, you are an empty individual. You can only wear one pair of shoes at a time. You can only drive one fancy car at a time. You can only sleep in one bedroom at a time, no matter how many bedrooms you have in your home. While I cannot make you, I cannot preach to you to make you a better individual, a better person. But the law can require you to behave correctly, to treat others correctly, especially those who have worked for you. Because when you don't pay people, they lose their homes. Again, the electricity is cut off, the water is cut off. they cannot feed their children and cannot eat for themselves. Something is very wrong. I've been saying it for years that Palm Beach County has a serious problem with wage theft. We have it rampant in agriculture. It is rampant in the restaurant industry, the hotel industry. It is rampant throughout this county. And that is one thing that I intend to fight for. One thing that I intend to fight for. Again, I'm not a better person than anybody else, but I am one who knows what it's like to be hungry. Therefore, I empathize with those who don't have. I fight for those who don't have. We, as a nation, as a society, as a county, must make it our business to fight for those who do not have. We are one of the richest counties in the nation. And people can hardly afford to live here. Think about it. Our teachers cannot afford. People who teach our children in the public schools cannot afford to live in Palm Beach County. Firefighters cannot afford to live in Palm Beach County. Police officers that we support cannot afford to live in Palm Beach County because they don't get paid enough. They just don't get paid enough. But the firefighters, police officers, teachers, these are people who put their lives on the line every day. How many police officers, how many deputies have we lost? As you know, we just lost 2 teachers in Broward County, in addition to those 15 students. So teaching is now a hazardous occupation, and they don't get paid to live in Broward or Palm Beach. South Florida is a very expensive area of the country to live in. That's the reason that I fight for $16 minimum wage. Most employees, well, let me not say most, many employees in Palm Beach County do not make $16 an hour. There are people making $9, $10 an hour. And they are expected to live here. Meanwhile, their neighborhoods are being gentrified, another form of ethnic cleansing in this county. It is something that we have to tackle. $16 an hour will not make them rich, but it will make them better at what they do, because they won't have to be working 2 to 3 jobs to make ends meet. Many of our problems are because parents, a single mom or single dad, must work 2, 3 jobs to make ends meet, and they leave their kids alone. But if the single mom, the single dad makes $16 an hour, he or she can be home at a decent time with the kids. those kids are my problems and they are your problems. You may say that you did not give birth to them. You are correct. But once they're here, they are our problems. Everybody's child is my child. And your child is my child. My children are your children. When that young man decided to pull that AR-15 and gun down those students and teachers in Parkland, you know, we all jumped all over him, deservedly so. But can we at least agree that we failed that young man as a society? Can we at least agree that we failed him as a society? He committed the worst atrocities. But when I think about it, I believe we as a society failed him. And the only question is, who's next? Who's next? We must pay our parents a decent wage, a living wage, in order for them to breathe, in order for them to start living. Because one thing you don't understand, most people in Palm Beach County are not living. They just exist. They simply exist. That's all. They simply exist. They simply exist. Because they go from jobs to jobs just to pay the bills. They have no time for their children, no time for their husband or wife. Something is wrong. Meanwhile, the CEO's salaries keep climbing. And then we say the reason that people are poor is because they don't work hard enough. Really? Hard work is not the reason people are rich. It's not because they're working hard. There are rich people who work hard. But I can point to many rich people who are not working hard. If hard work really made people rich, those folks picking your tomatoes, the tomatoes that you have on your salad, the lettuce, the beans, the cucumbers, celeries, apples, blueberries, they would be rich. Peaches. If you want to feel heat, if you want to see hard work, there's a place not far from here called Devil's Garden. Take a trip there and watch people work picking citrus. If you can survive one day in July in Devil's Garden, you are tough. You are tough. and they do it day in and day out. In Aiken, South Carolina, where the temperature is about 112 degrees during the summer, to see people pick peaches in the heat every single day. And you say, work hard, they'll be rich? No.
They can't even survive.
They're hardly surviving. But I can show you the CEO of Washington Mutual, which no longer exists. That a guy became CEO. He spent 30 days as CEO, and he got a package for $28 million to walk away. Who are we kidding? You think he worked hard for that, for $28 million in 30 days? It's a game. It's a rigged game. There are people who are busting their butts every day working hard, and who are barely surviving. The people who mow the lawns or roofers in South Florida in the summer. You ask yourself, how do they do it? They work hard. These are people working hard who are barely making it. But the CEO of that company is making millions. It's called trickle-down economics. And there's nothing trickling down. There has been a war against poor people since January 20th, 1981, brought to us by Ronald Reagan. And the war continues to this day. Poor people are made to feel as if they are guilty, they should be guilty for being poor. But everything changed when that man took office. And sadly, no Democrats have been able to fix it. Things must change. Because if it doesn't, one day it will explode in our faces. One day it will. One day it will. Just look at the tax cut that the Republican Congress just passed. Who's benefiting? I saw where Warren Buffett, because I follow Warren Buffett via Twitter, I saw where he announced that his company, because of the tax cut, has a $28 billion profit just because of the tax cut. $28 billion. Warren Buffett will tell you that he didn't need it. They didn't need it. That's what I love about Warren Buffett. But the government gave it to him and to all the millionaires and billionaires. Meanwhile, those who mow the lawns, cut the trees or trim the trees, prepare the food in the restaurants, sweep the floors, clean the hospital rooms, housekeeping at the hotels. They're barely getting by. As a society, we have a lot to answer for, folks. And that's why I run for office, because I know what those folks go through on a daily basis. On a daily basis, I know what they go through. Right now, I'm trying to help a gentleman whose landlord has refused to pay him his deposit. This is something that is very rampant in Palm Beach County as well. People leave the properties that they had rented, they cleaned it, and sometimes, just like this guy, the landlord said, "Yeah, we'll mail it to you," and it's been a year. Every time he calls, they give him the same story. They're mailing it. Just because he happens to be one who's not able to communicate properly in English. So I intend to fight for this guy. But I guarantee you, the people who've done this to him, they go to church every Sunday. And they're the same people who will tell you that he's not working hard enough. When you're staking it to the man every day, taking from him, we have a tendency now in our society to dehumanize people. And yet we tell them it's their fault. We tell them it's their fault. Something is wrong with us. Something is definitely wrong with us. If you don't feel that pain that those folks are going through, you need to analyze yourself. Because as a society, I don't want to be part of a society that mistreats the least of these. I really don't want to be here in a society that treats people like this. Where people to this day are not being able to make a decent wage, a living wage, to pay their bills. And then you come out and say, "Oh, well, why does he or she have an iPhone?" What is that to you? Why do you have an $800,000 home? Do you really deserve it? He or she doesn't deserve an iPhone, but you deserve $1 million home, a $500 million home. But that person had the nerve, the poor person had the nerve to get an iPhone. How dare he? Really? As I said, I don't want to be part of any place, any society that treats the least of these as if they don't belong. Something is wrong with us. Because when it happens, when one does it, it affects all of us. Every human being is affected by the action of one. If you cannot feel this, check yourself. Seriously, check yourself. If you cannot feel for somebody who's homeless, somebody who can't pay their bills and they're working every day, I know teachers, we are civilized. Now, a country like Finland, they pay teachers get the highest salaries. Think about it for a moment. A country like Finland pays teachers huge salaries. We have great public school teachers. Have you seen those kids from Parkland? Have you heard them speak? They are products of public schools system. Yes, I am proud every time, every day that I hear them speak. Our public school system produced them. But the teachers can hardly make it. I believe a 20, 25-year-old car, all beat up. And he covered his children and took the bullets that were meant for them. But he could hardly make ends meet. Can we take a break? Let's talk about tuition, public schools, and I'm talking about I'm only talking about our public universities, public colleges. We must, Palm Beach County is big enough, rich enough to see to it that those kids do not have to pay for tuition. We can do this. We are capable of doing this. The question is, do we have the will? Do we have the will to do it? This must happen, folks. This must happen. Too many of our kids are coming out of school owing an arm and a leg. Before they start, they're behind. Before they start their professional career, they're behind. They are starting behind the starting line. And it's very hard for them to catch up. a rich nation, a rich county like Palm Beach County can do better. So I fight. I am fighting for tuition to be free in Palm Beach County. So I run for office to make concrete changes in people's lives. Enough talk. Every 2 years, every 4 years, we go to people, politicians go to people, say, vote for me. And nothing changes in people's lives. They actually get worse. Nothing changes. Why is that? Because most politicians are not fighting for the people, they're fighting for themselves. It's all about them, me, myself, and I. Because if you were fighting for them, they would have free tuition. They would be making a living wage. Teachers would be able to live in Palm Beach County. Firefighters would be able to live in Palm Beach County. Police officers would be able to live comfortably in Palm Beach County if you were fighting for them. So it is time for change. That's what I'm fighting for. I understand that to some of you, or to some of you, I'm just flapping my gums. You know what? I believe sooner than later, these ideas will take roots. I do. I believe people have reached a point where they do not believe in corporate Democrats running the show, because they long ago gave up on Republicans. But now they're finding out that corporate Democrats are just as bad as it pertains to their economic status, because their lives have not changed. It is time for people to make a living wage. It is time for people not to have to pay an arm and a leg to go to school. It is time for police officers to be able to live here where they work every day. Firefighters, teachers, it is time for them to be able to live here. The time has come. All the people need to do is find 3 other commissioners like myself and vote us in to change things. Because the genie is not going back into the bottle. The genie is not going back into the bottle. I challenged a U.S. congressman a few years ago, and I remember him saying that he could not ask people to pay for somebody else's education, that he didn't see how he could ask for somebody to pay for somebody's student loan. And what I told him then was, well, it's nice of you to be able to pay for your children cash to go to Ivy League schools, but most of us cannot afford that. But it brings me pleasure now to see that he has changed his tune. Brings me a lot of pleasure, because eventually the truth will march on. people must be able to see and must be able to have a reason for which to vote. Because right now, let's just say they haven't had much reason for which to vote. See, for most folks now, well, it's Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that. After Donald Trump is removed, the problems of the poor will still be here. The problems of people of color will still be here. The problems that we face in this county and in this country are systemic. The system must change in order for changes to take place. The systems must change. One way we have to change it is to remove money out of local politics. We must remove money out of local politics. That's one way to start. That is one way to start, folks. Here's another thing that I'm fighting for. Extremely important. To ban plastics. To ban plastics in Palm Beach County. We are destroying our environment. We must have the courage to say enough. Enough. We're going to change things. Yes, you will step on some toes. Yes, not everybody will be happy. But if we don't have an environment, none of us will survive. None of us will survive. When fish are eating plastics, something is wrong. So my plan is to get rid of it. Do away with plastics. Many communities have done so already. We must find a way to get plastics out of Palm Beach County. Just like I intend to fight for a ban on assault rifles within the boundaries of Palm Beach County. Well, there is a state law that you cannot do that, you cannot take action. Well, the beauty of America is we have the right to fight against unjust laws. That's the beauty of America. We have a right to fight against unjust laws. I would propose in Palm Beach County ban the sale of assault rifles within its boundaries and let Governor Scott come for me. Because remember, Jim Crow laws were lawful. Some people passed those laws, but we challenged them. Some went to jail, and some paid with their lives. But eventually, we won. Hitler killed millions of Jews during the Holocaust, and it was legal. But people fought. We fought. And it changed. So now, we cannot sit back Let the barbers in Tallahassee tell us down here that we cannot protect our kids from these assault rifles? No. You must grow a pair. If you sit in the Palm Beach County Commission, you need to grow a pair. You need to say enough is enough. We're not going to take it anymore. We will fight to ban them in Palm Beach County. Come what may. You want to arrest us? Arrest us. Somebody says, well, there are bigger fish to fry. No, there's nothing bigger than this. When people are being gunned down in schools, in churches, with assault rifles, there's nothing bigger than that. Sooner or later, we have to take a stand and say we're not going to put up with it anymore. And I think the kids in Parkland have shown more guts than most adults. They are teaching us how it should be done. And frankly, we need to move aside, let them lead. Because the adults have failed them. Politicians of both parties have failed them. You would say, well, why both parties? Because politicians refuse to put their necks on the line, refuse to lose a position while others are being killed. No. We will fight Tallahassee in the courts, and I guarantee we will win. Because the ground has shifted tremendously, folks. Now is the time for the Palm Beach County Commission to do what's right and vote to ban assault rifle within the boundaries of this county. I ask for your help. I ask for your support. I need volunteers and I need money. www.votemorel.com or 561-301-6843. 561, need your help. They don't want somebody like me in the commission because they want to keep talking, make you feel good, and then 4 years later, nothing has changed. Everything remains the same because they don't have the courage. One thing I have guts to stand up. I have integrity to fight back. I am competent and I'm independent. I run as a Democrat, but nobody tells me what to do. I do what's good for the people. I do what's good for the people. I don't do what's good for a political party. I do what's good for Americans. That's what I do. I will do what's best for the people in District 2, for the people of Palm Beach County. That I promise you. I will be a fighter every day. Every single day. And I guarantee you, you put 3 more individuals like me on the commission, we will shake this place up. Because enough is enough. www.votemorel.com. Please join us as we knock on doors. We need many volunteers to knock on doors with us. Join us, please. I thank you so very much. I am grateful for your help. I am grateful for you. And one thing you have to know is that I love each and every one of you. And may God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.